She is loaded down to the gills. She's loaded down to the gills. She's obviously loaded with fuel, but much more fuel than what's needed. Those ships could circumnavigate the world dozens of times. But the thing is, you can't stop her from delivering fuel to Venezuela. That's the big issue. Getting around the embargo, getting Iranian fuel to Venezuela. No one's going to stop an Iranian Navy vessel from delivering that oil. That's one sure way of getting around the embargo. The embargo deals with commercial vessels, not Navy vessels. How would you even know? Venezuela is rich in oil but has limited refining capability, leading to widespread shortages in fuel across the country. So you got a senator, and then you got the defense secretary. They're all freaking the fuck out because you got this oil tanker, the Iranian Navy. No, it's not the Navy. It's actually, isn't it the Khomeini's Revolutionary Guard? I think it might be the Revolutionary Guard. Anyways, you got an oil tanker turned battleship. There's a couple cannons. There's places for helicopters to land, mostly for oil, fuel, right? Just a bunch of, it's an oil tanker. It's an oil tanker, and they got 3 cannons, so not exactly a battleship, but kind of a battleship, kind of a warship, kind of Iran's Navy, and they're in international waters. So I think that's essentially the gist, right? That's the gist. Millions of gallons of fuel and a ploy to get around U.S. sanctions. Designed to carry 3 million gallons of fuel. It was riding low. Macron. Okay, and there's one main ship, and then there's a supporting ship. So that's it. Iran has sent out a big-ass cruiser, right? Some kind of warship, destroyer, battleship. I'm just going to say a fucking gas, a fucking big gas oil liner, right? So they're going to try to get Venezuela some gasoline. Venezuela is sitting on a bunch of oil. How come Venezuela didn't invest in infrastructure? Venezuela, you need to refine your own fucking oil. I don't understand. You're sitting on all that oil, and you're going to have fuel shortages. I remember when Hugo Chavez was giving New Yorkers fuel to help heat the poor New Yorkers. They were getting fuel from Hugo Chavez to help with their heat. So during the winter, to keep them warm during the winter. So Iran sent out a big cruiser, probably going to give Venezuela some gasoline. That's it. That's it. But I guess the big news is that Iran is sending, a ship into the Atlantic Ocean. Uh-oh. What is going on? I guarantee you that, how many other ships are in the Atlantic Ocean? What, Britain, France, fucking South Africa, China, India, every fucking nation in the world. It's international waters. Iran has to be in there. They're not attacking anybody, right? So just international waters, just a big fucking free-for-all. But you're not, fuck piracy, right? That's bullshit. So it's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out. Why? Because there are some things that the United States could do. Trump did some shit. And then so did Eisenhower. And then JFK. Okay, so what are we doing here? We got the intelligence gathering vessel, Macran. So I don't know if it's a warship or if it's more of an oil ship. 3 cannons. It's a pretty, weak-ass battleship. So I'm just going to say it's an oil ship. It's just an oil ship for the government now instead of, an oil ship for a private company. So Iran's southern port of Bandar Abbas, their mission is the Iranian navy's longest, most challenging. Iranian state TV released a short clip of the warship, battleship destroyer, cruising, the oil rig, cruising through Atlantic's rough seas. The video is likely shot from the Macron. Macron is the main one. There's 2. And it's a converted commercial oil tanker with a mobile launch platform for helicopters. And then there was something else, too. There were some boats. There was like some short, quick boats or some shit. All right. So, here's my question. Iran has the right to be in international waters. They're going to Venezuela, probably giving them gasoline, right? Are they sending it nuclear material? It's kind of fucking crazy that, you know, okay, they sent a fucking ship out. I'm sure Britain just sent a ship out. Russia and China sending a ship out. Iran sent a ship out. That's fucking news. It's news because, you know, they typically don't do that. And, you know, we're, you know, up against Iran. I guess we're at war, right? Because we keep bombing Iranian targets in goddamn Syria. So we have a proxy war with Iran without, I'm sure there's sabotage and probably, you know, a whole bunch of CIA, you know, covert, probably assassination programs and shit. I would be concerned if they were sending it nuclear material. And so, okay, are there weapons, are there nuclear, you know, material there? And the fact that it's Navy, that almost seems like it's more of an act of war if it's more, so that, you know, I was just reading that passage in the very beginning, there was just an article of somebody that, you know, they had that opinion. So Cuba's blockade, Nicaragua blockade. Now Eisenhower, so you had Cuba, right? You had the Cuban Missile Crisis. Fucking Russia put some fucking shit there, all shit. So JFK surrounded Cuba so that way no ships could go in or out. And Nicaragua, same, you know, same difference. Eisenhower is going to put a blockade around Nicaragua to make sure nobody can, you know, nothing can go in, nothing can go out. And so the blockade is to basically starve, you know, Nicaragua out and starve Cuba out. The whole thing was Cuban missiles. Oh shit, there's weapons, there's missiles. We don't want missiles right here in Cuba. But what's really fucking crazy about that is just how much missiles that, you know, Russia and the Eastern Bloc and Middle East and Africa, there's fucking missiles everywhere. They go to war with their goddamn neighbors. We got the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. We got the Western Hemisphere. The idea of whatever, Monroe Doctrine, we can, you know, invade the South America, that's not as important as you can't fucking come over here, motherfuckers. Like, fuck you, rat bastard fucks. I think the two big, you know, the two oceans are the biggest natural barriers to the rest of the world. And so that's why, you know, we live in relative isolation. We got a whole, you know, Western Hemisphere here. We have a whole, you know, continent. We got two continents right to ourselves. We got fucking Australia, two Australias that's, you know, connected. So it'd be awesome to drive to Chile or Peru. I'd love to drive to Peru. So Donald Trump had captured 4 gasoline tankers. Iran had already tried to send some oil tankers to Venezuela, and they captured them. And they, you know, aggressively, they surrounded them or something, made sure they couldn't get it through or some shit. Kind of just did some kind of, you know, I didn't touch it, but, you know, not like arrested them, didn't attack them, but had a blockade around them and then was able to. So Biden seems to be less aggressive towards both Iran and Venezuela, which is awesome because, frankly, the U.S. policy on Venezuela is fucking horseshit. It's a bunch of fucking horseshit. And then Iran is the ones that's actually protecting the Houthi in Yemen, and so the United States is participating in a genocide in Yemen right now, and Iran is on the correct side. Iran is on the side of Palestine. Iran is on the side of Syria. Iran is on the side of Venezuela. Iran is on a lot of fucking good, you know, people's side. So, or they're on the right side of history. So what did I say? Venezuela, Palestine, Syria, and then the fucking Yemen. Iran is opposed to the genocide. That should be American policy. We are opposed to all fucking genocides. Bafamgu. Okay, so what are we doing here? Maintain sanctions. So Biden seems to be less aggressive, but who the fuck knows, right? He's just slower and shit. But the sanctions have been maintained, so the U.S. still has sanctions on Iran and Venezuela, and Biden doesn't overtly talk to the Maduro's government. Remember when Hugo Chavez gave the open veins to, you know, Barack Obama? Here's open veins. What's open veins? Oh, you know how United States corporations have fucking, you know, just basically sliced the veins and arteries of Latin and South America and sucked them dry, corporations. Remember that? The open veins, you just open their fucking veins of Latin and South America, and now that you've bled them dry and they're running to get some refuge, you wrecked the fucking country, but you're going to pretend. So Iran has tried to access the Atlantic Ocean. We have the economic sanctions or whatever. Fuck the economic sanctions. Fuck the war on Venezuela. Fuck the war on Cuba. The Freedom House, I believe most of the shit that the Freedom House says, but I don't believe there's shit on Venezuela and Cuba. And you know what? The United States government has fucking coup d'etat, fucking socialist Chile, 1973, Allende. So, I mean, this shit's happened, and so for them to put up a wall and not be the most, fairest democratic, place, I can see why Syria isn't a great democracy, and they got to do what they got to do. But you can't say that they're fighting a war and they're a great democracy. You just can't, So I don't know if Venezuela, Jimmy Carter said they had the best elections ever, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not for sure. There's shenanigans afoot, right? Fucking Trump said Juan Guaido is the fucking president and he had no power whatsoever. So is this shit we always fucking pull? Is this the kind of shit we're always fucking pulling all over across the world? Iran tried to access the Atlantic Ocean. You don't want anybody over here, but you don't want, to be fucking around with people. Why are we fucking around with Iran, right? The axis of evil. What has this Iran done that's so goddamn bad? And frankly, I don't hate Iran. And then Venezuela, and part of me fucking loves Venezuela. And we're going to fuck with Venezuela because we're the great beacon of democracy. Virginia had a 10% turnout rate. Terry McAuliffe only got 10% turnout rate. Get the fuck out of here. The Electoral College, get the fuck out of here. Didn't Donald just say we had the shittiest democracy ever? We have a rigged fucking, shit. He said it was a rigged shit system. Then why did he walk away? Why did he walk away? If that wasn't a bold-faced lie, why wouldn't he, what? Satellite found it's got small, fast attack boats which could attack America in the Persian Gulf, or did attack. Technologies dated April 28th appear to show 7 Iranian fast attack craft. Okay. So you got these small, fast attack boats, and they're thinking, okay, well, what are they going to do with the... So the fact that they're kind of saying that we know what's going on. They're going to go to Venezuela. They got gasoline. They got a couple fucking boats and shit. But I don't think they would chance nuclear fucking weapons. I think we could probably actually get on the goddamn ship, see what the fuck they have. I don't know if they would let us or not, but I feel like check to see if they got nukes. And if they don't have nukes, I don't know. I feel like if they got nukes, that would be the biggest. That would be a big concern, right? If we're used to Western Hemisphere not having nukes, I think provoking Venezuela is, opening opportunity for Iran to. Venezuela has a right to defend itself. It's a sovereign nation, and it's got a right to defend itself. So, if Iran is sending it nukes, that's bad for me as an American because, that's bad for the interest of this nation state. But I understand that Venezuela is getting fucked with. I mean, we tried to overthrow Hugo Chavez fucking several times. He was, democratically elected, so now we're going to say that they have a fucking... And then the shit that happened in Bolivia, there was a coup d'etat. No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. So, satellite images from Planet Labs Incorporated suggest it left the port at Bandar Abbas sometime after April 29th. It wasn't immediately clear where the Macron and the destroyer are now, April 28th. So they got these fast attack crafts. So what are they going to do with the fast attack craft? Maybe go up the Mississippi River. Maybe go up the Rio Grande. Maybe they'll go up the Lawrence River and come down this. Maybe they'll go on the west coast. Maybe the east coast. Oh no, they got 7 fucking boats. They got this gasoline, this big oil tanker with a bunch of gasoline to give Venezuelan people some gas since they have a fuel shortage. And then they got 7 fast fucking boats. That almost feels like a much ado about nothing kind of situation. Get Venezuela, we got the sanctions because we're trying to starve the people and try to, kill as many of the people that we can and make them suffer and hurt and pain so they try to overthrow their government. I can't stand that shit. I don't like the fucking sanctions that we have on anybody. We got sanctions on Yemen still. We got sanctions on fucking Syria and Palestine and... who the fuck else ever, just goddamn passing sanctions out to anybody and everybody. Except for the bad guys. So Iran is always present in international waters. This is somebody from the government of Iran. Iran is always present in international waters. It's got a right to be in international waters based on international law. We have a right to be present. No country is able to violate the right of Iran to be in international waters. And I warn everybody in the world, to make sure you don't make a miscalculation. Those who sit in glass houses should be careful. Don't throw stones in glass houses. Don't make a miscalculation. Don't fuck up. What, you think this is what? You're going to let your imagination, what you think it's nukes? Is that what you think? That would be dangerous. What, we're going to fast attack craft aboard the Makran, or the type the Guard uses in its tenants encounters with U.S. warships in the Persian Gulf and its narrow mouth, the Strait of Hormuz. It's not immediately clear what Venezuela's plans would be for those ships. Maybe they're just going boating. Maybe they're just going goddamn, fucking skiing, water skiing. Let, goddamn Maduro get some water skiing done. This seems crazy that this is a big fucking deal, that something could happen, but I guess it does possibly. It depends. This all comes down to how right-wing, how empire, how imperialistic is, the United States of America. There's the economic sanctions. We saw what Trump did, and are they going to try to do the same thing that Trump did? And maybe they might pull the plug, and maybe it's not going to Venezuela at all. Maybe it's going to, do some other, shit. But are we going to do the exact same thing? Frankly, let the Venezuela get goddamn gasoline and get the fucking speedboats. And they get 7 speedboats and some gasoline. They're going to need gasoline for the speedboats. So, I feel like I'm okay with the goddamn ship, going all the way to the destination. Aren't we about free markets and shit, international waters? The Hanseatic League, we suck at capitalism. We really fucking do. And ultimately, Monroe Doctrine, why do we get to tell Venezuela who gets to, they can't buy gasoline from, what the fuck? Imagine if they were doing that shit to us. Somebody, we run out of gas and we try to buy some, and then they try to stop us from getting gasoline. I'd be mad as fuck. And I really hate what we're doing in Venezuela and Cuba. Even if Venezuela and Cuba are complete fucking dictatorships, the fact that we've assassinated socialists, maybe they have to be like that. The Monroe Doctrine, they gotta watch their fucking backs and shit. So, you know what? If anything, America just needs to change their goddamn policy so that way, look at this shit. It's bullshit. Because of what we're fucking around with Venezuela now, they might be getting, or we're worried that they might be. We're inviting motherfuckers to say Venezuela has a right, Cuba has a right, anybody has a right to protect themselves. And therefore, North Korea, we might see North Korean boots on the fucking ground in Venezuela. They might send boats up the Mississippi River. So, if push comes to shove and a war fucking breaks out, that would be fucking scary. That's on our hemisphere. It's right fucking there. That would be horrific and a very bloody affair. So we should probably, do what we can to stop war. If we don't stop war, war will probably stop us, right? If humanity doesn't stop war, war is going to stop humanity. So there you go. That was just, I'm about to do some Iranian elections. We got some, talk about the nuclear deal with Iran. And then you got this, fucking oil tanker. An oil tanker is venturing out into the Atlantic Ocean. Uh-oh, Venezuela might get some gasoline. Which, remember when Hugo Chavez gave us some fucking gas to make sure we stayed warm? So, we'll take the gas to keep ourselves warm, but we're not going to let them have gas. We're going to squeeze them so they, suffer and die in hopes that they overthrow their fucking government. The Constituent Assembly, all that shit was racist, and we have, there's a program. We tried to do it to Hugo Chavez when he was clearly legitimately elected. Israel killed some more Palestinians. Motherfuckers.